Good morning and welcome to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Hump Day.
Yes, and very
Anything
exciting.
happened yesterday?
I think that we had the speaker was ousted yesterday.
Oh, that's never happened before.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
What do you know? I didn't think this. I really didn't think this would happen. I thought Kevin McCarthy would survive all of this, but
Did you?
Yeah, to a degree, yeah. But I'm telling you, it's a new world.
Well, and here's the thing, Bill. It's the greatest gift that the Democrats could give us, which I also think is interesting because Jeffries released a statement yesterday. Did you see his statement?
You were talking about the minority leader?
Yes.
The communist?
Yes. He says, "This is a solemn moment for the country and the House of Representatives. The Constitution gifted us a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. House Democrats will continue to put people over politics and work together in a bipartisan way to make life better for everyday Americans." This is the best part.
That proves that the writer's strike is over.
No. This is the best part. It is our hope that traditional Republicans will walk away from MAGA extremists and join us in partnership for the good of the country. That's hilarious because you just supported MAGA.
Yeah, you sure did. Thank you.
So I thought that was interesting that was his take. But, Matt Gaetz, he is front and center this morning. People are upset. People are angry. But here's the other thing, Bill. How many times do you hear people say, "I'm sick of the way the government is run"?
All the time. It doesn't a day go by when we don't hear something of that nature. Yeah, I even said that in a prayer yesterday in our Kiwanis meeting, and praying for the meal and everything, and please God straighten out the government in Washington, and the place cracked up. Yeah.
Well, I think that this might be the first step. I think that people don't like it. It's untraditional. It's the first time in history. I think that that's the other thing that people need to understand. This has never happened before. We have never ousted a speaker in the United States of America.
We've never persecuted or prosecuted a president of the United States after he left office either.
So a lot of firsts in the last couple of years for this country, but this one being very significant. And I think one of the things that is going to come out of this is that I hope that we get our single subject. I hope that we quit doing CRs because that's how we end up spending more money. I mean, basically,
you're supposed to have a budget.
Exactly. So I think people that are upset about this, you also have to think about if we don't do serious things like this, what kind of consequences are we going to continue to face? Because we've been doing the same thing since the 90s. They've been allowed to have omnibus bills. They've been allowed to pass these CRs, which makes it so we're just kicking the can down the road. And guess who pays for that? It's going to be grandkids and future generations. And, it's destroying the country. We cannot continue to live with $33 trillion of debt and think that we can continue writing checks for things that we don't have the money for.
Any more than we can allow, tens of thousands of people, illegal aliens, to come across our borders either. You don't have a border, you don't have a country.
Well, and here's the other thing. People are mad at Matt Gaetz, but Kevin McCarthy has been making deals with the Democrats instead of working with the conservatives. That's a huge problem. And I think that people need to realize that he's the reason that we have been giving more money to Ukraine. He's the reason that Biden has until 2025 to take whatever money he wants and spend away. These are big problems that McCarthy is at the center of. And yes, we've been able to vote on one bill with amendments. One bill. And one of his promises is that bills could be amended on the floor.
So not living up to his promises. You can say what you want to about Matt Gaetz. He is a firebrand, and that's how his country was formed. It was called the Great Compromise. It nearly fell apart in Philadelphia all those years ago because they were arguing over slavery and also state representation, and they finally came together. It was called our Constitution itself was called the Great Compromise. So these guys got into it, knocked down dragouts and everything else, and screaming at each other. That's how it was formed. And I think that's maybe where we got the expression, Brittany, you don't want to see laws and sausage ever made.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you do it. You come to a conclusion. Nobody ever gets everything that they want, and that the Democrats have been trying that for years, and they've talked like they're in charge all the time, whether they're in the minority or not. And the Republicans have gone along with it. For years, we had what was called the Country Club Republicans.
Yep.
They were just happy to be there.
Yep.
Go along
Making
to get
deals.
along.
Making deals, going to fundraisers.
Yeah.
Look at that. It's so fun.
Lining their pockets.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these people end up rich. I mean, look at Dianne Feinstein. She did pass away over the weekend. Her funeral was
yesterday. Have you seen her worth?
That's what I'm getting to.
Okay. Go ahead.
The fact that she's worth so much money, it's not by accident.
No.
And her daughter, was left the multiple estates that she had.
Yeah.
And I believe she also had a private plane. So she was
Yeah.
one of the lucky
jet,
ones. Yeah.
And a private jet.
Yeah.
And I think it's a Gulfstream. So
Yes,
thank you very
yes.
much for helping the Savannah economy on that one.
Yeah.
But the I think it's something like $42 million in the bank.
Yeah. That doesn't include assets.
Yeah, right. And then there were like three or four mansions, but pretty good on a $200,000 salary.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Same with Joe Biden.
Yes,
They say he was the poorest man in the Senate.
Oh,
yeah.
Imagine that. I wish I was the poorest man in the Senate.
Yeah, I do too.
Be doing pretty good. So Matt Gaetz yesterday, total firebrand, being accused of creating chaos, and this was his response to that.
Mr. Speaker, my friend from Oklahoma says that my colleagues and I who don't support Kevin McCarthy would plunge the House and the country into chaos. Chaos is Speaker McCarthy. Chaos is somebody who we cannot trust with their word. The one thing that the White House, House Democrats, and many of us on the conservative side of the Republican caucus would argue is that the thing we have in common, Kevin McCarthy said something to all of us at one point or another that he didn't really mean and never intended to live up to. I don't think voting against Kevin McCarthy is chaos. I think $33 trillion in debt is chaos. I think that facing a $2.2 trillion annual deficit is chaos. I think that not passing single subject spending bills is chaos. I think the fact that we have been governed in this country since the mid-90s by continuing resolution and omnibus is chaos. And the way to liberate ourselves from that is a series of reforms to this body that I would hope would outlast Speaker McCarthy's time here, would outlast my time here, and would outlast either of our majorities. Reforms that I have heard some of the most conservative members of this body fight for, and some of the reforms that we've been battling for that I've even heard those in the Democrat caucus say would be worthy and helpful to the House, like open amendments, like understanding what the budget is. We have been out of compliance with budget laws for most of my life, most of many of your lives. And by the way, if we did those things, if we had single subject bills, if we had an understanding on the top line, if we had open amendments, if we had trust and honesty and understanding, there would be times when my conservative colleagues and I would lose, might be a few times when we'd win. There'd be times that we would form partnerships that might otherwise not be really predictable in the American body politic, but the American people would see us legislating. These last few days, we've suspended the momentum that we had established the week earlier, where we were bringing bills to the floor, voting on them, staying late at night, working hard. That's what the American people expect. It's something Speaker McCarthy hasn't delivered, and that's why I've moved to vacate the chair. I reserve.
Yep, and
way to go. I think it's terrific.
I agree. And it's interesting. Buddy Carter and Marjorie Taylor Greene voted to keep the speaker. We have the 8 that decided that they were going to vote against them. The most surprising to me was Nancy Mace. She was one that I mean, she is in a very purple district in South Carolina. I was very surprised that she voted to oust the speaker. But the 8 are Nancy Mace from South Carolina, Andy Biggs from Arizona, Matt Rosendale from Montana, Eli Crane from Arizona, Ken Buck from Colorado, and Kim Burchett from Tennessee, and Bob Good from Virginia. So those are the 8 that really made the difference and got the speaker ousted. And you know, the thing about it is, Bill, is the other thing that happened yesterday was another South Carolina House member. He's acting speaker. And his first order of business was to actually get Nancy Pelosi out of her office. So she has been in the hideaway, the speaker hideaway office since January. McCarthy never made her leave.
What? I didn't know there was a speaker. I didn't know there was a hideaway office.
Yep.
And what was she doing there?
That was her office.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, that was her office.
Oh.
She was allowed to stay in that office.
Yeah.
She was not asked to leave. So, the first order of business for Patrick McHenry, who's from South Carolina.
I keep up with this stuff.
Yes, was ordered former Speaker Nancy Pelosi to vacate her Capitol hideaway office by Wednesday, which is today. And she is actually at Dianne Feinstein's funeral, which is unfortunate, but at the same time, this is how we treat Democrats. This is how they treat us, and we need to be, I have never heard of this guy, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And comes right out of the gates and says, hey, this is what we're doing. You're going to leave your office. The thing that he did that I do not agree with is that he did send people home. So they are not voting on a speaker this week, which I feel like they should be. They were out all of August. I know that Chip Roy, he was interviewed yesterday and he was complaining about not being able to see his children for more than 2 days in the last 30 days. You wanted to be elected. I'm sorry. This is the job. And I don't feel bad for our elected officials. I don't.
I'm kind of surprised at Chip Roy for saying that. Do you realize how many soldiers we have deployed that haven't seen their children not only in 2 days, but 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years because of the, if you remember, we're having so many problems with our soldiers now because of all of the multiple deployments. They keep happening over and over and over again. When I was coming, the Vietnam War was the big thing when I was a lot younger and could have gone, and that was one tour. If you went, you said 9 months or a year in Vietnam. When you came back, unless you volunteered to go back, you were done. We had other things to do. You had one tour in Vietnam and that was it. You didn't go back 6 or 7 times like these guys are doing now.
Right.
And how can you have a solid family when you're home for 8 or 9 months and you're thinking about going back over there? When you're over there, you're thinking about being back over here with your family. This is the problem that we're having now, and you wonder why there's a trouble recruiting, other than the fact that public schools are telling our kids this is the worst country on the planet.
Yeah.
That's why so many people want to come here, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and we have Lizzie Warren with us this morning. She says, single subject bills is most important issue in my honest opinion. Did Pelosi get to keep the big gavel she carried around during Obamacare vote? I'm not sure about that. And Mary McCann Hybrider says, maybe we should oust Obama from Biden's puppet strings. Mm-hmm. And Lizzie Warren says, soldiers who died will never see their children again.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, I was disappointed in Chip Roy. I'm actually Lauren Boebert. I was disappointed in her too, even though she came out yesterday and said it was the right decision for him to be ousted from his seat. I've heard a couple of names floated around. I really like the idea of Steve Scalise. I think that he is.
Very much so. I like the idea of Jim Jordan, but he doesn't want the job.
Yeah,
but he's very good at where he is now.
Agreed. Well, and I think Steve Scalise has the respect of both the conservative wing of the party as well as the more establishment wing. And I think that that's a good moderation as long as he's willing to keep the single subject bills and things like that. The other name I've heard floated, probably not going to happen, but would be entertaining to watch fall is Donald Trump. It would be interesting, if nothing else. So,
because there's nothing in the Constitution that says that the Speaker of the House has to be a member of the House. It just says the House will select a Speaker.
Yeah, so this could get entertaining, but we'll see what happens. But the other thing that I just wanted to talk about really quick was the other thing that Matt Gaetz did yesterday was he called out all of the establishment and talked to them about where they're getting their money, because they're mad at him because he's asking for money from Americans, and this was his response.
And when it comes to how those raise money, I take no lecture on asking patriotic Americans to weigh in and contribute to this fight from those who would grovel and bend knee for the lobbyists and special interests who own leadership, who have boo all you want, who have hollowed out this town and have borrowed against the future of our future generations. I'll be happy to fund my political operation through the work of hardworking Americans, $10 and $20 and $30 at a time, and you all keep showing up at the lobbyist fundraisers and see how that goes for you. I reserve.
Totally respect him for that, because I do think that that's exactly what's happened in this country, is that the lobbyists do control what bills get passed, what happens, and what's funded. And I do think that that's how a lot of these people get rich.
Yeah.
And, you know, I respect Matt Gaetz. He does not take PAC money. He does not take money from anyone. He raises the money by himself, and it's $20 to $30 at a time. The other thing is if they want to get rid of Matt Gaetz, they will not be able to get his district to vote against him. His district loves him. He does very well there. They're very happy with him.
Exactly.
And the first thing they said was, we'll try and primary him. They're also trying to get him out of the House. He's having an ethics investigation now. Surprise, surprise. This feels very familiar to Colton Moore, who was just ousted out of the Republican caucus here in Georgia. So I think we're seeing the tide turning, though, Bill. I think that it's going to be painful. I think people are going to be upset. I think people don't like to deal with politics because it's messy, but democracy is messy. And
it is.
We really have to, the way that Matt Gaetz puts it is, we have to break the fever. We have to quit spending money. We have to start being more responsible, and they need to be accountable to the American people. And single subject bills will do that.
And the Constitution.
Yes. And Lizzie Warren, before we hop to break, says lobbyists control Georgia too.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't disagree.
All right, coming up next.
When we get back, we will be talking to Mike McCann. He is the District 6 candidate running for City Council here in Savannah.
Yeah, and also tragedy on the football field here in Savannah. That's coming up.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance. With integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit.
I don't think it's an accident that I ended up writing music for a living, because I think I lived in a house where I saw how deeply it affected everyone in the house. And just how much everyone defined themselves by the music they listened to.
Music as a framework, I think, gave my parents my identity from a young age. You can like any music that you want if it makes you feel happy. And now when I hear certain songs, I think of them, and I think of them in their happiest state, and it makes me happy.
If they seem like they're having trouble talking about something, I try to tell them about a time when I felt something similar.
Whatever the issue was, we would tell them the pros and cons and how important it was, and that they had come to us because we could always help them. I think the real important point, we always told them, no matter what you do, no matter what happens, we will help you through it no matter what it is.
Are you a mom or dad? Do you have little kids with big dreams? Well, hopefully your kids aren't white or Asian, because if they are, they will have a very hard time getting into their dream college or landing their dream job. Top schools and corporations are run by left-wing Democrats, and they openly discriminate against whites and Asians. So even if your daughter has the best test scores, even if your son has amazing grades, even if they spend extra hours studying and doing everything right, it won't be enough. Unless you suddenly discover that you're part Cherokee, or transgender, or in the country illegally. Otherwise, your kids are out of luck. Which begs the question, if Democrats are hurting your children, why would you ever vote for them? Stop the bigotry. Stop the insanity. Paid for by Citizens for Sanity.
Welcome back to Get Real America. I am Brittany Brown, and today we have Mike McCann, who is running for District 6 Councilman here in Savannah. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about why you're running.
Well, I think that when we moved to Savannah, one thing we knew for sure is that we love the city, we love the people. Really, we loved everything about it. We were coming from the Midwest. Place that I had spent a lot of time already being engaged in the community and different things going on, especially when it came to youth. And as we stayed here longer, we started to see things that I thought maybe the focus wasn't where just the normal family or community would like to see when it comes to youth opportunities, family development, and creating a place where people want to grow up, go to school, live, work, and enjoy life.
So you have children, don't you?
I do. I have 3 boys.
Okay, so are they in the school system here in Chatham County?
They are. They go to Marsh Point Elementary. My 2 youngest ones do. My oldest one just took a job actually up at Walter Reed Hospital in Washington.
Oh, awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah, he's super excited.
So tell us a little bit about, District 6. A lot of people aren't really going to know where exactly that is. What are some of the pain points in District 6?
Well, District 6 is the south side of Savannah. And it's really what I have found where a lot of our residents live. It's a very diverse community, everything from religion to racial makeup to age. The demographics there is really split, even when it comes to political things.
That does not surprise me. So one of the things that has been on people's radar is some of the zoning issues that are happening in Savannah. Another hot topic, which I'm sure you've heard about, is SCAD paying taxes. And another one is the new speed cameras that have been put throughout Savannah. Can you talk to me a little bit about those 3 issues?
Well, the speed cameras, you got to love those neighborhood pages because they show up about daily on there,
yes,
who got the ticket and that they were 10 minutes before it was supposed to be on or off. You know, I think that in fact, I was washing a truck last night after youth group over on White Bluff, and I was at the car wash, and it was probably 7:30, so the sun had went down, and all of a sudden 2 cars went flying through there. And that maybe isn't a time when kids are going to be on the street or all the people and the residents there, but if any of our main roads, we do have some issues with monitoring that traffic. Now, are cameras the best result of fixing it? I don't know. But one thing's for sure right now, with the shortage we have in police officers on the street, we don't have the ability to have police. Primarily in the past, they might have been sitting at street corners. They knew that was going on and patrolling those areas. Right now, they're just too overworked to be there.
Well, okay, I agree with you that we are understaffed with police officers. I am a little bit concerned about this quote-unquote smart city stuff coming to Savannah. I know that we have participated in some of the smart city things, and I think these traffic cameras are probably the first step. So I look forward to seeing how you feel about the smart city and kind of what it looks like to residents as well, because residents are very upset about those speed cameras.
Yeah, I mean, a couple tickets and you'll kind of get that way. But I think that, there's times that we need to step back for a minute and realize that some of those things are going to be beneficial just to remind us that we're supposed to be slowing down those areas. Now, do I want to see that permanently replace the policing or the human involvement in those things? Absolutely not. It's kind of like when you go to certain fast food restaurants now and you walk in and you order from a kiosk instead of a person. I'm a people person. I want to deal with people. I want to build relationships, and I don't want to get away from that anywhere, especially when it comes to monitoring our city operations, you could call it.
Yeah, 100%. So talk to me a little bit about what you think the big issues are on the south side, and also talk to me a little bit about the zoning issues that we see.
Well, the zoning is funny because the last few months, these zoning signs are showing up everywhere. And I was actually at a meeting over on the west side the other day, and I don't even think that all of us realize how much of it is going on because of the improper placement of the signs, the confusion of the signs. They had some very close-up shots that we probably don't get out and read those signs enough, where they had literally marked through dates on them. And so I think we need to step back for a minute also and look at how we're doing those, why we're rezoning certain areas. We don't want to mess with the dynamics and the makeup of what Savannah is. And I think we have these overlays to protect that kind of stuff from happening. And I don't know that right now is the best time to be going in and redoing all this mapping when we need to be focused on the people that live in the communities and how these things impact their quality of life. So transparency on those things for zoning, making sure people know when these meetings are. I'm pretty connected with a lot of people that are involved in those, and there's times that I find out in the last minute or the last day that those meetings are going on. So zoning needs to be a focus of this next council coming up. And then what was the other thing that you asked about?
Well, really quick before we move on, one of the things with the zoning and, I don't live in the city of Savannah. I live in Pooler, but I feel very frustrated by the fact that I feel like I'm not really notified that there's something going to be impacting where I live until it comes up on a neighborhood page or something like that, where I feel like if it has something to do with my neighborhood, I feel like we should get a mail out of some sort because I don't know a better way to notify people other than that.
And I think we gotten spoiled to the fact that we used to be able to go on Facebook and put something on there, and then we just knew the people that we wanted to see it were going to see it. But Facebook algorithms have changed, especially after the last election. It seems to be more monitored, and certain things not put out as much as they used to be. And during this candidacy or campaign, I've talked to a lot of people that said, well, you got to get 5 to 6 touches on everybody in the community to get them to go vote.
Yep.
And, it's funny because that was something I didn't really think about. When they talked about, well, you've got to send a postcard, you got to send a piece of mail. And I'm like a stamp on a piece of mail? Like I need to go back to that? But, we just can't count on these social media sources to get that information out there. So I don't know that some of the zoning, you could have somebody literally go knock door to door when it's coming up. But I think there could be a range that is acceptable to expect a personal touch to that person to let them know what's going on. You don't need to wake up and because a new zoning permit sign was placed on the backside of a tree or 200 yards off a road, which is actually against their ordinances to do, but it happens. And so we need to make sure those people are informed because those are not usually short-term impacts on your life. Those are things that are going to affect you for a long time in your quality of life.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the last topics I wanted to touch on with you, because it has become a hot topic, I of course hear a lot about it, but SCAD paying taxes. They have bought a lot of the buildings here. They did a lot of good things for the city. However, at what point is it too much? And at what point should they have to pay taxes, especially when they are the largest landowner in the city of Savannah?
Been too much for a long time. Should have been done yesterday, and they got to be paying their share. I know that taxes, no matter what type of election you're running for, is always going to be important to everybody because it impacts your pocketbook. It's the money you write out. I think our city had an opportunity to help people in those situations, and they really downplayed the effect that it was going to be by leaving the millage rate the same. And I get it that we can always look for ways to use the verbiage of the law to make it sound better for us. We said we lowered it because we didn't raise it, but the amount you wrote your check for when you paid your property tax was raised. Why is it raised? We have needs in the city, and taxes is the best way to collect the money on it. So I understand the need for taxes, as we can't write them all off. But I do believe that things like when you're looking at opportunities, there's been talk about pilot fees, payment in lieu of taxes. There was a reason that the city set it up to allow SCAD to come in and build the way they did, and to have the benefits they had when they needed it.
Revitalize the city.
Yeah, absolutely. And they did. There's so many good things that SCAD offered, but now it's time for them to give back to the city that gave to them to start it. And it's not different in any other line of business. There's other opportunities that if people are going to build shopping centers or something like that, the city can come in and go, hey, you're going to benefit us here, so we're going to give you some breaks to get you off the ground. But then you're going to give that back to the city that gave to you. And, we talked about policing a minute ago and the shortfall we have. But if SCAD makes a call for policing, then they're gonna be calling our city police that they're not paying for. So we got to pay our fair share. And I would think, as a good partner, I would think SCAD would go, we want to be a part of this. Because if they came in and just offered it without us asking, imagine the support they would get from Savannians. But it's going to come to the point where we're going to have to force them to do it.
Yeah, and that's I think that's too bad, but at the same time, they use our roads, the storm drainage. I hear a lot about that. That's what they need the tax money for. So you would have been a vote no on the keeping the millage rate the same.
I'd like to see us actually have an opportunity to roll it back, even if it was just a little bit, and even if it was just for a couple of years. Just let everybody take a chance. I coach a lot of baseball, football, basketball, and one thing when the kids get up to bat and everything's going real fast, and they're not having success, sometimes I'll just be standing on third base. I'll say, hey, step out and take a breath. And I think right now that's what our city needs. They need us just to step back from this tax and spend mentality and take a breath. We tax them. But I don't think that they could probably feel like they even see the ball going by sometimes.
Yep, I totally understand that. So give me your top 3 concerns for the South Side and maybe some solutions.
Well, quality of life. I think is important. If I'm going to move somewhere, that's going to be important to me, is to know what the quality of life around me is. And a lot of times I don't know that we have the time to do our due diligence to even find that out. We move to an area because we like the looks of it or we like the home. And then we get there and we find out, wow, I wish I would have kind of known that. And you watch the neighborhood pages, and when you see the people complaining about things, those are probably the ones that didn't do their investigating. Or it's the people that have lived there a long time and they've not had their voice heard. So when the last group ran, they ran as a unit. And when they ran, they talked about, I'm going to give everybody a seat at the table. And I think for the most part, they did make a lot of tables. But my little kids, they have a seat at the table at Thanksgiving too. But that don't mean they get a voice in the conversation. So I want our people that live here, work here, grew up here, I want them to have a voice in the conversation, not just a seat at the table. You tell them to sit down, you tell them to eat, you tell them to be quiet. That's not how we should govern our city. I think that everybody should have a voice in the conversation. We need to focus on crime. Part of that's going to be the policing issue. You have a right to live somewhere and feel safe where you live. That's going to start with the hiring and the keeping of the good officers. We've lost a lot of tenured officers in our city, and part of it is because of bad city management that we allowed that to happen. The other thing would be job opportunities and small business on the south side. Having small businesses in the past, I know how important it is for that one-off little customer that wants to pull up, get something from your business, and leave. The downtown area, as beautiful as it is not set up for small business. You're not gonna, if you have a t-shirt you got to buy for an event or a blazer or something, you're not gonna spend 10 minutes trying to park, spend the money to park, to go in to buy one article and leave. So Southside's great for that. We have businesses set up for that. We have parking for that. We're easy to get in and out of. The Truman drops you off pretty much anywhere you want to be. We are set up. There's no reason we have blighted buildings and small businesses closing on the south side because they can't make it. We need to focus on those residents. And those are probably the residents that live on the south side as well. So small business is going to be important. Crime and quality of life is going to be important. And that quality of life would then go into the taxes and things like that. And the other thing is going to be our homeless issue that we're facing in Savannah. It seems we had an increase on the south side. We can argue all day on what the numbers are, and I'll to ask everybody the same thing. Do you feel like it's less? Because I get it that sometimes numbers don't lie, but if you feel and your perception, because your perception is your reality, so if you feel like everywhere you go, you're tripping over people sleeping on sidewalks or on their park benches or in your front of your small business doorways, then that's your reality. And unfortunately for the south side right now, that's a reality of a lot. So I've taken a little bit of flack on that, because me saying I want to deal with homelessness does not mean I want to just kick them out. Anybody that goes back and looks at what I do, I get involved. I want to see us make a plan. That plan's going to have different steps to it, because not everybody's homeless for the same reason. They deserve grace, they deserve support, and they deserve love. And we got to give them all three of those. And then we are going to be left with a group of them that don't want to, unfortunately, conform to reality of, living in an area. And those will have to be dealt with differently. And that's going to go back to our justice system and doing what's right there. The last thing I'd say about me and my candidacy is I want to be relevant to the South Side. I have set myself up and positioned myself in the last year to be able to run a campaign and be able to campaign the way I want to serve and serve the way I want to campaign. And that is that I will be available, I will be accessible, and I will be me throughout the whole time that I would be serving.
I love that. And you do a lot of work with the youth on the South Side. And, I appreciate you running. I think it's always a good thing to have better candidates, better qualified candidates running in these races. I'm excited to see what happens. And if people want to get in touch, want to donate, want to reach out to you, where can they do that?
Easiest way is just follow me on Facebook. It's Be the Change. It's something I've hashtagged stuff with long before it was ever an idea to run for a position with the city or anywhere else. In fact, I said the other day, I kind of wish I wouldn't use hashtag Be the Change now in running, because now everybody says it's a political statement. It's not a political statement. It's the way I want to live my life. I don't try to live my life for what you think of me today. I want to live my life for when I'm gone, that you can go, you know what, he really was the change.
I love that. Well, thanks so much for coming in and visiting with us, Mike, and we will see you on the campaign trail.
Yeah, I'll be there.
We'll be right back.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance. With integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
When I grow up, I want to work for a woke company, like super woke.
When I grow up,
I want to be hired based on what I look like rather than my skills.
I want to be judged by my political beliefs
I want to get promoted
based on my chromosomes. When I grow up, I want to be offended by my coworkers and walk around the office
on eggshells
and have my words policed
by HR. Words like
grandfather,
peanut gallery,
long time no see,
no can do.
When I grow up,
I want to be obsessed with emotional safety and do workplace sensitivity training all day long. When I grow up, I want to climb the corporate ladder
just by following the crowd.
I want to be a conformist. I want to weaponize my pronouns. What are pronouns?
It's time to grow up and get back to work. Introducing the #1 woke-free job board in America, redballoon.work.
Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing. Buy local and keep the torch lit.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
I like that picture of me interviewing you.
I know, right?
I don't
it was
remember
when
that was made. What we were doing.
It was when we first started out.
Yeah, obviously.
Many moons ago.
Yeah.
Yes. But before we had hair and makeup, of course.
Yeah.
Mary McCann Hybrider says you can't get rich in politics unless you're a crook. Harry S. Truman. That rings so true at the moment.
Doesn't it, though?
And,
for sure. And he said, the buck stops here.
Yeah.
And now we've got a president where the bucks stop there.
Yes. Into his bank account.
Yeah, for sure.
And then it says, we all need to be the change, says Mary McCann Hybrider, in reference to Mike McCann. And, hopefully you guys will check him out. You will see what he's about, as well as any of the city council members that you can vote for. So
he's a really good guy. And Curtis Pertee is a nice person, but he hadn't done anything for you.
Well, it's an election year. He's done a few things now.
Well, yeah, surprise.
Imagine how that works. He hasn't been, here's the other thing. Well, that's not true, because he did call someone a ghetto B word, and I think that was terrible. But I will say their former alderman was maybe in the news for things that people were not happy about, and they were kind of sick of it. So I think that's why, although people liked him and he got things done.
Yeah.
And so people are missing that. So.
And running again for an at-large post.
Yes.
So there you go.
Yes. So
before we get to anything else, I want to pass on condolences and to friends and family and at Windsor Forest High School. According to a release from the Savannah-Chatham County Public Schools yesterday, it says with the greatest, and this is a developing story, it says with the greatest sadness that the Savannah-Chatham County School administrators can confirm the loss of one of our students. Student athlete with Windsor Forest High School's junior varsity football team suffered a medical emergency on the sideline of a game on Monday night. And the student had played earlier in the game, but had been rotated out of the lineup and was being watched on the sidelines. When the incident occurred, trainers and EMS staff on site began immediate life-saving measures using CPR and AED, but those efforts continued during a transportation to the hospital, where further attention was given. Unfortunately, the student was pronounced deceased a short time after reaching Memorial's Children's Hospital. One deepest sympathies go out to the students and family and friends. No information on the cause of death so far. Once again, we said this is a developing story, and that's always an extremely tragic event when you lose an athlete. Came close at Benedictine last year, if you remember, and it was the trainers who were there at school, and this was during practice of saving a kid's life, doing CPR on him till EMS arrived, and they credited the trainers at BC with saving that kid's life.
Yeah, definitely sad news coming out of Forest Hills High School, and very, very young. Like, it's just a sad story.
It is, yeah. So we'll keep you posted on that story as well. Meanwhile, you were saying, or were we?
Now I've lost my place. But Lizzie Warren says Curtis Pertee, he and money have a complicated relationship. So maybe you guys should look into that. I don't know exactly what that means, but I'm sure that there is a way you can you can find that out. And Lizzie Warren also says young athlete deaths happening more often. It definitely appears to be that way. I don't know if we're hyper focused on it or not, but we are hearing more of it in the news. We are having insurance companies actually look into a lot of this as well, which makes me think that there is an indicator that is happening more often. But I think until we hear from the insurance companies on what they find, I don't really know.
Yeah, all these heart conditions that are developing after vaccines and things of that nature, it's something to be looked into, and we could be in danger of getting in YouTube purgatory for even mentioning it.
Yes, YouTube definitely doesn't like any sort of discussion about the vaccine. So you guys probably haven't heard us talk a lot about them just because we end up in YouTube jail.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
always really fun. Bill, there are some things going on in these Democrat-run cities, and Savannah is one of them. We haven't reached to the level that we're seeing in other.
By no means.
Yes, but I think if we don't right the ship, I think that there, can be things that happen that can send us down a path. In Philadelphia, there was a journalist who was very outspoken about not having a gun and saying that, guns only escalate a situation. And he was killed Monday in his home at 1 a.m. He was shot 7 times. And they did find meth in his home and things like that. But I think that this is just...
Could that have been after the fact?
It could have been, but it could be drug related as well. I'm not really sure. There has been no reporting as to why this person entered his home. It wasn't the first time that someone had ended up in his home. So, living in these cities are just kind of scary, especially when you also see what happened in New York over the weekend where, there's a male and female. They're out late. You can see that they're dressed up. They probably went on a nice date night. And, he was stabbed to death. I think we have the video of that.
I'm so sorry. Are you please go watch him. Go watch him. I'm so Ryan. No, Ryan.
So, tragic thing that happened. He was killed by that guy. He has still not been caught, this guy on the street. And this is just in the streets of New York. New York, I used to feel safe in, about 12 years ago.
Pretty safe city when
it used to be.
Rudy Giuliani was mayor.
Yes, and I was there after Rudy as well, and it wasn't horrible. So
it is now.
just a really and after stabbing this guy, he comes back and he starts spitting on the girl. It's sad where we're at in some of these cities, and I think that it's good to bring attention to them, because I do think that people also need to have some fear of approaching people.
Yeah.
I think that we've gotten away from that, and people are not. I don't know what would possess you to follow someone like that. I would turn around and go the other way.
Exactly.
But very, very sad altercation.
Yeah, for sure. And paid for it with his life. And
Yes.
I'm sure that this guy, if they ever do catch him, I'm sure that he'll get
Released immediately.
Yeah, right. And because we didn't understand his situation.
Right. Right.
And he might be, belong to a particular group that has that's above the law. All right, coming up next.
The Buddy Walk is this weekend.
Yeah, hey, we got some good news for you here.
Yes.
We'll be talking with the president of the Low Country Down Syndrome Society next. Foxy Loxy, Coffee Fox, and Henny Penny, making life better for Savannahans with their kolaches, tacos, coffees. They're just amazing.
Buy local and keep the torch lit.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance. With integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
When you're looking to buy a business or sell a business, the experts at Best Business Brokers have you covered. Whether you're ready to cash in on your years of hard work or you're taking that first step in buying a business of your own, they're here to guide you through the process and make sure you get the best outcome possible. By having Best Business Brokers assist you when you buy a business or sell a business, they handle the legwork of the intricate process. This ensures a smooth transition of ownership, allowing you to get to work immediately or receive payment for your business as soon as possible. With base operations in Savannah and Charleston, they service all of Georgia and South Carolina. If you're considering starting a business here, the mild winters and 5-tiered economic areas make these the perfect places to do so. If you're ready to buy a business or sell a business, then you're ready to contact Best Business Brokers. Visit their website at b3brokers.com or call at 912-349-0940.
Who is a kid? Well, that's a kid. And another. Look, a gaggle of them. Or is it a herd? Litter? Pride. But what about her? Tell her she's not a kid. Or him. So how do we tell who is a kid? Height? Age, maybe. But some of us have to grow up faster than others. A kid. A kid. A kid wants to make the world better. And one day, he just might. Is a kid fearless? Vulnerable? Strong? Nervous? Yes. 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 Kiwanis is 600,000 kids at heart doing all the little and big things it takes to help children around the world. Because kids need Kiwanis. All of them.
Have you ever boarded a plane and thought to yourself, I hope the pilot is a transgender refugee? Have you ever gone to the emergency room and said, I hope my medical team is incredibly diverse? Have you ever moved to a new city and said, I hope the police department hit its equity goals for the year? If your answer to these questions was no, if you just wanted the most qualified candidates for the job, then you are normal. But we have a lot of very not normal people running America these days. Left-wing politicians believe skin color or gender identity should determine who gets the job. Democrats used to care about the middle class. Now they just care about your race and your gender. And as long as Democrats stay in power, it will just keep getting worse. Stop the bigotry. Stop the insanity. Paid for by Citizens for Sanity.
Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never be alone. Savannah, the beauty of the world. Savannah, let's all take a ride. Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah.
Welcome back to Get Real America. I'm Bill Edwards, and once again, it's a pleasure to welcome aboard A good buddy, Joe Marchese. He is the president of the Low Country Down Syndrome Society. Joe, welcome aboard.
Well, thank you very much, sir.
And one of the big fundraisers that you have is coming up Saturday at Forsyth Park. The Buddy Walk is ready to go again.
It is, sir. 18th year.
Wow. Has it been that? Wow.
It went that long.
Gosh. Yeah. Wow. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much.
This is always, it is so heartwarming to go out to these. I've been on several of them, and some of we meet friends, people that we didn't know had special needs kids. One of our favorite waiters from Jalapenos was there one year. We ran into him. This is a guy that waited on us all the time. Had no idea he had a special needs child. They were out there and everybody just as heartwarming as this is. This is one of the great events for a great cause.
Yeah, it just works out that way. So I think the reason why it's so much fun is because it's fun. I mean, it's just one of those things. Every year for 18 years, we show up in the park, we bring all of our kids, we bring 400 pictures of all of our kids, which is really fun. So as you're walking around the park, you get to see pictures of Ella, Sean, Lainey, Ethan, all of these kids from age 0, I guess you really know. Age 1 all the way up. So, we show up, we walk around the park, we start out, we walk from the Confederate Monument up to Park Street, hang a left, one loop around the park. But it's not about the walk. Mm-hmm. It's about showing support for people with different abilities.
Right.
So, every day I get up, I put on 2 different socks because we're all different.
Yeah.
And that's what makes us all the same. So I have no more intrinsic value than anyone else. Mm-hmm. So we go out there, we celebrate that, and we just have a good time with it. So it's an old-fashioned, fun festival. Free popcorn, free cotton candy, free drinks. Coca-Cola's been a sponsor for 18 years. I mean, how can you beat that? The local Coca-Cola bottler every year, loads up a couple of pallets full of drinks. We ice them down and we give them away. And that's what you want. We want people to go out, have a good time, not worry about the money, not worry about anything. Just show up, walk around the park, show support. We all wear the same color T-shirts. This is a throwback. I think this is about 10 years old. But I have my Ella button. So, we each, we actually bought 2 button machines. And so when you come out, you can pick, you make your own button, you can show support, but we're all together. And we're all one family.
And of course, you have a special needs child.
I do.
And so, and that did that get you started in this, or was it one of those things where that was somebody else was doing that, and then realize it could happen to me too?
Well, so what happened was 18 years ago, my wife, who was an ICU nurse at the time, and I had our second child, and it turned out she had Down syndrome. So, what a great blessing! But you have to choose. Are you gonna embrace the blessings, or are you gonna complain? And we just decided that we would embrace the blessings. We looked around and there was no Down Syndrome Society, and a guy named Dr. Ben Spitalnik, who's been on our board for 18 years, said, wouldn't it be nice if someone would start a Down Syndrome Society? And
exactly.
I told him, I said, it would be really nice. And he said, I can do that. You can meet at our conference room. So we went in, we met in his conference room. It was the Bogartises, the Hussies, the Fears, and the Marquises, and on Saturday, you'll see all 4 of those families out there. Our kids who were 1 and 2 at the time are now 18 and 20. Lainey's a senior, Kristen has graduated, Sean's a senior, Ella's a senior, and then we're just there for the ride.
Joe, this is remarkable, and I think one of the things that the Low Country Down Syndrome Society does, among others, and I credit sometimes the media, where at least give credit where credit is due, when they had that show Life Goes On, and had a Down syndrome actor, and the character's name was Corky, and he became so popular, and it gave people a different perspective, because they used to think, these people, how sorry I feel for you, because this person will never be able to accomplish anything, or they'll just have to be looked after all their lives.
Yeah. So, you can't love what you don't know, right? So here's a chance, come to the Buddy Walk, get to know people with different abilities. People come to me, they're like, how do I talk to someone with special needs? I'm like, start with hello. In fact, I have a shirt that says start with hello.
Yeah.
And now you start with hello, and then you realize, she likes Barbie, she likes makeup, she went to the prom, or she went to homecoming Saturday night in Effingham, and we're all people. and we're all
Yeah.
together. If you haven't seen The Peanut Butter Falcon, that's another story of someone with Down syndrome, just a great shot here in Georgia. They finished up right there across from the Cockspur Light on the beach at Tybee, and you know, just get to know someone. Take a chance. Say hello.
And it's amazing how I've noticed that the parents, and when it happens to somebody like you, that you realize this is a blessing.
Yeah.
This is, you know, because I've talked to you know, the Bogartises all the time.
Yeah.
And you know how happy they are to have a special needs child.
Yeah. So, you know, I can be in a hurry. You know, I'm going to go that way.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's chaos in my wake, right? I just don't realize what's going on. But Ella has a PhD in empathy. You know, if Ella sees someone in a wheelchair, it's just a way to crawl up to get closer to them. And so I am a better person because Ella shows me that. She models that behavior. Now she fights with her sister, and she doesn't clean her room, and she mixes up her clean and dirty laundry, but she has a PhD in empathy. And, you know, every year, you know, and I'm a God guy. I love God. I think that God has a plan. So every year, the last 3 years, we've gone up to Riverwood. It's a home for adults with disabilities, and Ella serves them. So not only can Ella, you know, be a receiver of service, but Ella goes up, she scrubs toilets, she cleans windows, she washes vans, she cooks, she cleans, she eats with the residents, and that behavior is just what we want. You know, this year we'll help out with the Humane Society. We'll ring the bell for Salvation Army, and you have never had a bell ringing experience like watching 4 kids with Down syndrome dancing and singing as they ring the bell and thank you for your donation.
Well, I think, Joe, one of the things that's so heartwarming about the people with Down syndrome, everyone I meet, there's something about their personality. They all, it's like you said, they all have this PhD in empathy and love, and it just like, they just seem to be the happiest people on the planet. I said, what the heck's wrong with us?
Yeah.
Maybe we're the weirdos.
Well, I have said that they're God's secret agents. So, you know, sometimes you think that perhaps they're, you know, they're watching us.
Well, come on out. It's Saturday. Starts
Saturday,
at 10?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
So come on down to Forsyth Park. We hung the banners yesterday. We have a great partnership with the Savannah Philharmonic. We're really excited. They've transitioned. So we've been the first Saturday in October for 18 years. And yet, and we're really happy that Savannah Philharmonic, which used to be Picnic in the Park, is now Fill the Park.
Right.
And they have moved to Saturday, which makes it a lot more family friendly.
Yeah, it does.
And so they're going to set up the night before. They're going to allow us to use all their facilities, sound system, jumbotron, tents.
Oh, wow.
And then we're going to go in. We're going to pack out at 2 o'clock, and we're actually going to go back. I'm going to have some kids with Down syndrome that go back and help me and help us pack out. So we're going to load out the Savannah Philharmonic.
And you've got some entertainment of your own, do you not?
We do. We got the Sun City Cloggers once again. I think that's probably year 18.
If you haven't seen clogging, folks, it is something. That's where tap dancing got started.
Yeah, it's
and
good
it
stuff.
is amazing.
And, you know, we've just been blessed by the community. Carson Fortnell over Pula Karate. He'll have some kids out there. And then we have a special needs dance program. We also have special needs cheerleading with the Savannah Sharks. And Savannah Dance is the dance program. And it, you know, Savannah just loves its people. And that's what we want. We want people to love people, get to know them, get to love them. Sign up at www.ldssga.org and just click the Buddy Rock tag and join any team. It doesn't matter what team you join. We all wear the same shirt because we want to be pulling in the same direction, and then you can wear a button just to show support for one particular child.
Outstanding. Joe, God bless you.
Thank you.
Keep up the great work, and we'll see you on Saturday.
Yep, we'll see you on Saturday.
All right, come on out. 10 o'clock, Forsyth Park. A lot of free stuff and great stuff for the kids.
You know, I apologize. We forgot we're raffling off a car.
Oh.
So also at the Buddy Rock, you know, Bill Granger has hired 5 people with different special needs over the years, and 3 of them are still there 6 years later. And Nathan Chambly was one of our champions at the Night of Champions, where we honor the people that have made that attempt or have created those jobs for people. Nathan processes paperwork, and he does it perfectly every time.
Yeah.
And, you know, Nathan looked at me and he said, "Mr. Granger, trust me. So Bill has graciously donated a car. So Bill Granger and the Granger family of companies.
Wow.
You can win either a Nissan Rogue or a Honda CRV. Not only has he donated the car, he's going to pay the taxes and the title.
Whoa.
End Market has kicked in a $250 gas card. We've got some car wash tickets. So you can, all you have to do is go to the dealership, pick the one that you want. I'll take the red one, and put some insurance on it and drive it off the lot.
Wow.
We're going to do it the old-fashioned way. We're going to turn the crank. We're going to reach in and pick out. So even though you register online, we are going to have a physical drawing. We're printing. If you buy a ticket the same day, we'll handwrite your name. But every ticket, every little piece of paper is the same size. Everyone will be folded in the same way. And one of those children is going to reach in and pick out that winner.
Outstanding. All right.
And you can buy the tickets on the website. You can register for the walk on the website.
Fantastic. All right, Joe, we'll see you Saturday.
Thank you, sir.
And we'll be right back.
Lots of things to do this weekend. Make sure you go support that great cause.
Absolutely.
And you could win a car. So there you go.
Can't think of the Greek festivals this weekend too.
Yes.
So there's plenty of stuff to do.
Folds of Honor.
And the Equinox, Folds of Honor. The Equinox Jazz Band's going to be performing for that at the Savannah Country Club. So come on out and enjoy yourself. You can enjoy Savannah, and the weather should be pretty good.
Yes, and on that note, it's going to wrap us for today, but we'll be back tomorrow. Remember, you can become a donor. You can become a member. If you have a business, you can advertise with us.
Absolutely. And our rates are pretty darn good. So please help us out, or we won't be here.
Yes, well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back tomorrow.
Yep.
Have a good day.